Hi, this is Jeremy Moskowitz, and in this video I'm going to show you the better together story of using the NPS or PolicyPak client with your NPS server. So you already know the story. Everything running on your desktop is running as you, the user, eSales user 1, or whatever the standard user is. If you double click on another application, hey, look at that, that same application runs as you. No big surprise. Where the superpower comes in is where you can right click or double click. I've got it configured to right click to run with NPS the server. Now, when you do, you're prompted for your credentials first and your two-factor code because NPS enables you, lets you have two factors. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in here. And now that I've done that, you can see it's brokering the account over to NPS, and I'm going to run this as a totally different Active Directory user, eSales Admin 9. And I should be able to see that right here in the process view. There's Notepad P. There's eSales Admin 9, and I'm off to the races. And the other best part is that everything I do here, if I were to close this out now, everything I just did is recorded and sent back to the NPS server for later analysis in case somebody maybe does something naughty. Let's take a look over at the NPS server to see the results. It actually already deprovisioned, so let's go over to historical here. You can see a moment ago it completed. I'm just going to refresh this to give it one more second to catch up to show the video. And now let's dive in and see it actually work. So you can see web session completed. And if I click on the little play button here, you can click here. This is only the 10 seconds that I was doing stuff. I just moved Notepad P around. But if I was doing something very privileged, hey, you'd have some video details around exactly what got performed. Okay, let's take a look at another item that we could do. Now, this other item I have as a command prompt, but if you wanted to make it a batch file or run it as a shortcut or anything like that, that would work too. I'm just doing it this way. So if I do mmc dsa.msc, this is running Active Directory users and computers. Now think about it. If you really wanted to run Active Directory users and computers, you would typically have to go over to some other computer somewhere or be running with the scissors on your own desktop. That is over. Now you can just put your credentials in. Let me put in my two-factor here. Now what's happening is that NPS server is brokering this. It's literally creating a domain admin account on the fly for this. It's being born just for this purpose. And if I wanted to do something nice or naughty, again, you have the full benefit of having the entire video recorded and ready to rock. So now that that's launched, let's first take a look at the process. Let's look at all the processes on this box. And if we take a look for, there it is. MMC is being run by eSales User 1 with the old name SBPAM. But the point of the story is that this is being run with this credential that's really underneath the hood, domain admin rights, that enables me to do interesting things. So if I wanted to right click over a particular user and change his password, I wouldn't be able to normally do this unless I had the full rights that I needed, and sure enough, it works. I can also move somebody to a different OU and so on, and everything is recorded back in NPS land in case I were to do something naughty. So this is going to be deprovisioned. Let's hustle on over to the NPS server, and you can see that it's currently active, and it'll be deprovisioning right now. And once it's done deprovisioning, we can take a look in historical. Let's go over to historical now. Let's take a look at the completed activity we just did. Let's take a look at the amazing award-winning video of us running the Active Directory users and computers. So there we go. Here we go. So now I've reset their password. You can see all the naughty and nice things that I've done. It's all just like that. So you might be wondering, what is the back-end setup to make all this magic happen? And the good news is it is not very hard. Okay, so I'm done with the Netwrix Privileged Secure server, and I'm on to creating policy. Now, in the previous video, I showed you the basic getting started, the moving parts. The first thing is you need the admin console, which hooks into the GPMC. Okay, that enables you to create policies. I showed you how to install that. On the endpoint, I showed you how to install the PolicyPak client-side extension, also known as the NPS client-side extension. That's already on the machine. And all that's left is to create the policies. The first one I said that you needed is to right-click and add a new Global Netwrix Privileged Secure configuration policy. I've already done that here, and it's ready to rock. But all you need to do is turn on the master switch. For your testing, you'll also need to enable certificate bypass, put in the certificate URL and the port number, and that's really it. The video recording idea is here. It's automatically turned on, but if you need to do some custom configuration, that's available to you. Generally, nobody needs to touch this. The other thing that you need to know is when you're creating new policy, okay, it's just right into the editor, just integrated into the editor. So if you want to create a new executable policy to run Notepad P or something else, you just create a new executable policy, and the very first or second screen after you decide what kind of rule type you want, let's say it's simple rule, is I want to use a Netwrix privilege secure. Great. So there are two types of supported policy types, resource and credential. You can see I've got one of those, each here represented. I'm going to show you how I deconstruct those in a second. The activity name will have to match exactly for the resource-based. That's the number one thing we see go wrong, is that people's activity names for resource-based policies are not exactly matched. So make sure it's exactly matched or it's not going to work. Credential-based policy, you do need the domain name, the username, and the activity name is automatically filled in. Let's go ahead and show you, like I said, the deconstructed version of what I already did. So when we double click it, we can see the flat view of everything here instead of going through the wizard. So you can see all the items that I've selected. I've said that I want to make it apply on demand. That's the right click run with NPS, and if you don't want to apply on demand, you can have it run with double click. That's totally fine. You can see that I have this process is elevated if I want it to be. You can see I've got a match of Notepad P based on a hash. Doesn't have to be that. That's just what I did for my demo to keep it simple. The hard part, if there is one, is just making sure that you match the NPS policy itself. So you can see that's right in here. So you can see I've got it as credential-based policy, got my domain name, and I have the username. If we go over to the NPS server, let's go back over here, and if we take a look at our policy here, and that is this guy here, okay? So it's this user, eSales user 1, can do these activities, which is credential release, as this guy, eSales admin 9. So that's all there is to it. So we're making a match on the policy here, okay, and that policy is targeted to a user, and now that user can act as this person against this thing that we have created, okay? That's the basic gist. If we take a look at the MMC snap-in one, the one that I did here, I'm making it so that it's that the condition is a file condition against mmc.exe. I'm making that the arguments is just dsa.msc, and then that's really it. If I from the PolicyPak perspective, just the path condition is set, and then the command line condition is just dsa.msc with strict equality. If I take a look at the NPS part of it, it's just selecting that it's a resource based and the activity name needs to exactly match. If it does not exactly match, it will definitely fail. So make sure you get that part straight. So if we take a look back here at the NPS server, that's this guy right here, and that is this user can do this activity token for domain admin access. That's literally what it's called. And I'm going to make sure that that is exactly what it's called here, or else it's not going to work. And then the activity or the resources are that particular computer and so on. Okay, so that's basically all there is to it to kind of get the magic going, to get the magic going here. I hope this video helps you out, showing how to connect your NPS with PolicyPak client. Again, if you don't like the double click thing, just turn off the run on demand, and that's all there is to it. Stay tuned for the next video to show you the differences between the policies that you can create with and without the NPS checkmark already checked. Thanks so very much, and talk to you soon.